Hello, everybody. It's Amanda Manethrin. I am back here for part two of my review of episode six. And man, it took me out of this episode, it took 30 for me to get through 35 minutes, way too long to get through. And now, with the remaining 25 minutes plus, I got to go through the rest. I can't tell you how exciting this is. Oh, man. Thank you all for uh, your views and your comments. Really appreciate it. Thank you all also for the support on the live streams that we're doing on White Cloaks and Salty and Prophet's channel. Uh, you guys have some great stuff to bring to the conversation, and we're just enjoying it as well. It's a good catharsis kind of thing going on, so really appreciate it. Now, let's get on with the rest of this episode because I'm sick of it. So we last left off with the scene with Swan meeting up with Lan all of a sudden um, in the middle of nowhere on the road to Camelin or from Camelin. And now we cut to Logain. Where is he? Well, he's in the only place that he's been this season, which means they filmed all of his stuff in a day or two. He's sitting at the well in the crazy house. Looks like he's staring at a pebble or a rock or something. And then he hears somebody coming and he's like, I knew you would come back. And Rand's like, I need you to train me. And he's like, no, or whatever. Part of this is like I'm tapping through these episodes because I can't stand the dialogue. I don't even there are points where I space out and can't remember what exactly is said. But the point is that he's now going to start training Rand here in this scene on how to use the power, how to control it, right? That's what Rand wants. I want to learn how to control it, right? And they have a little bit of an argument that leads to Logain giving in, and he's like, you need to let it in." And so now it starts appearing around Rand, and now we're also seeing the taint with it, and Logain is basically saying, no, don't let it go. Control it. Grab it. You know, okay. How do you do that? Well, so Rand's abilities here, it starts flowing and Logain's looking at him and he's seeing these weaves happen. How you do that after you've been gentled? How do you see the weaves? Because plot needs it. But he's like, you got to wrestle with it, and then it ends up being this big, huge light, and he's like, "Don't, you'll burn yourself out, boy." And then he says, "Well, how do I control it?" Basically, and he's like, "Well, you've got enough power here that you can do anything you want with that much power." I think. Again, there are certain things where I phased out, and I phased out in this conversation. I'm not willing to go back and listen to it because, man, it's just garbage tier stuff. So now it cuts. Rand's walking through the streets of Carrion, and we get to a good scene. Yeah, I did say that, folks. I'm going to go on record. This is the worst episode of the season. I'm totally on board with what Prophet of the Dragon is saying. This scene is a really good scene, and they ruin it with everything else. All the other member berries. this scene here is a testimony to what could have been, and they refused to do it. So, in any case, we have gone through 13 episodes and 37 minutes of another episode before we get to something that feels actually genuine. And there's Matt playing dice, which they actually set that up well with uh, way back in episode 1. So he's playing dice. Rand hears his voice, stops what he's doing, turns, and there he is. And what ensues is this brotherly embrace. These boyhood friends are now seeing each other for the first time in 7-8 months. You know, and what are you doing in Carrion? What are you doing in Carrion? But their faces, you know, Matt's actually believable in his reaction to seeing his friend. He knows how to act this scene out. It's actually really good. And as a result, Rand's face, because he's playing off of the acting job that this I can't remember the actor's name. Donald Finn, actually, I think it is. But he's playing off of this guy's acting job, and he's showing some good emotion with it. And it doesn't even really have to just be like this emotional thing. It's just acting and how you play off of one another, and it's believable.
Acting. Good night.
I wish that I was making videos about the Wheel of Time, not the Wheel of Prime, but the Wheel of Time, where you are presented visually with this actual, believable, brotherly reunion. It's a great scene, and I do mean great. And that's all that we get. You know, you know, where's everybody else? Well, it's complicated. Let's go. And then Matt actually says something humorous that I actually laughed at by saying, "Well, yeah, let's go talk about it. But first round's on you because you bollocksed up my dice roll here." you know, that's a good line. Never mind that he wouldn't have said bollocks, but it was still a funny line. These are things that, it's the first time the show's been intentionally funny that I've actually felt was actually funny. It's been plenty of times accidentally funny. But yeah. Oh man. So the scene cuts. We're back now with the trio at Falme, and they're busy trying to figure out this collar thing and opening it to see how it works so they can possibly free everybody. So the Aes Sedai and Elaine are doing their wheeze. Nincompoop can't do it because they've self-imposed a block on her this season. And they're like, "How did you get it?" And the yellow Aes Sedai proceeds to tell them how she got it by pulling out 3 Aes Sedai rings in her palm. And I'm like, "Okay, that doesn't tell me how you got it." And then she says, "Well, these 3 rings were from sisters that came into contact with the Shanchan, and 2 are dead, and 1 is collared, and she was a sitter of the Blue Aja." And they're like, "Oh, okay. What's a sitter?" Show only, right? If you're in the books, you know what a sitter is eventually. Once you start getting into the politics, I don't know if you really would know what a sitter is at this point in the books. But in any case, you would know in the books. The show, I can't remember if the hot tub scene with Moiraine and who the blue sitter is, was descriptive of her role as a sitter. I can't remember. So I could be wrong there, and that's fine. But it wouldn't surprise me if it's not described, and it would be yet another thing to tack on the scoreboard of things that the show puts in there from the books that it doesn't clear up, right? But what it doesn't do here is she doesn't tell these two how she got the collar. She doesn't explain how she got the collar. She actually complicates it by showing her three other things that reasonably required clarification on how she got those things. And she doesn't say that either. She just uses them as a way to say, hey, these two are dead, and this ring is from one who is collared right now. And it's really emotional and stuff. Um, but yeah, so there's the answer to your question. How did I get the collar? Well, I've got three rings. What? Again, poor job in execution of scripting and all that. Um, they did say earlier in the scene, credit here, they got to be careful when channeling because there are some out there, some of the soul dom or the demonic can detect weaving, and so we got to be real careful how we go about trying to figure out this uh, ring or collar. So, oh boy, back to Egwene. More training. Mm. The the demonic comes in. She tells Egwene she's really powerful, and does anybody at the White Tower tell you just how special you are? So we got emotional manipulation there. And then here's the great scene that they thought that made us think was some sort of action scene in the preview, but she has her come up to the window and has her actually kind of just release herself a little bit so she can then gives her permission to channel into the tree. Now, in this, you have the five weaves that you can do: air, wind, or air, spirit, uh, fire, water, earth, right? And so the one thing that we see Egwene channel into the tree, which she should know what she's channeling into this tree, is fire, is a fire weave, right? Because I don't see any other colors being channeled into that tree. So Egwene is either being insanely unobservant or insipidly stupid. And I vote for both. So she has her channel into the roots because this tree is special to her and she wants her to find life, get a feel for the tree and everything. But why wouldn't you use air or water to do that, right? No, Egwene, after given permission to channel into the tree roots, she sends fire to the roots. Again, bang up job, Egwene. You are retarded.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
So the tree catches fire,
I'm kind of retarded.
and there's just this emotion from Eggy that she feels betrayed. And the demonic is like, but look how special you are. Look what you did. And wasn't that freeing? Isn't that freedom? Now, pour me some water. And Egwene still can't do it. Um, and the demonic is super pissed off because she felt that there was an emotional bond that she was creating there with Egwene, and then she feels betrayed because Eggy can't pour the water because Eggy wants to hurt her, and then so she proceeds to beat the ever living tar out of Eggy because again Eggy can't get over herself and try something different, so she tries to physically assault the Damane. You know, man, this show couldn't write to save its life. All right, so now we cut back to uh, the trio, um, Elaine, Nincompoop, for a quick little scene uh, of why, you know, like Nynaeve can leave, but why does Elaine have to leave, or why can't she leave? And Elaine is just like, because Eggy's my friend, and I've never had a friend before. And at this point, if it was a phone conversation, I just would have hung up. Done. See you later. Stop with this emotional baggage stuff. You don't need to sit there and justify actions. You could just sit there and say, "Why do you need to stay, Elaine?" And Elaine could say, "Because it's the right thing to do." Real simple. It doesn't have to sit there and have this emotional ploy with it that nobody believes. But okay. So, yippee. So now we're in the bar scene, and with Matt and Rand, and this is still a pretty decent scene. It's not, again, the camaraderie that's being presented here between Matt and Rand is actually pretty good. And again, this is the stuff that we book cloaks, so called, by the people who hate the book lovers who don't like the show, are called. This is the kind of thing that we wanted, that we haven't gotten. We've gotten just emotional journey nonsense that, we want the hero's journey. We want the actual physical journey. The emotional journey we could give a shit about, because the Lord of the Rings is not an emotional journey. It's a journey. It's a fight against evil. That's what this should be about, and that's not what we're getting. But we get this scene where they're discussing everything, all the complicated stuff that Rand had previously mentioned to Matt, or alluded to. And Matt's like, "Okay, well, guess we got to go to Falme, and I just got to go and break a girl's heart." You know, really not a bad thing. I'll meet you at the gate. And so it leaves you kind of feeling, hey, that's pretty good. Now at the same time, you don't trust the show. So the end result we know is that it's not going to turn out this way, because everything has to have a twist. Everything has to have a twist. You can't just sit there and say, yeah, it's going to happen, and they go. That would actually be a twist with these show writers. So Matt ends up going to the apartment where we find Min drinking and getting wasted. And Matt's like, knock, knock, come on, my little dumpling, let me in. And Min's like, all right, come on in. And he looks over her, and then he says, I wrote this down because it was ridiculous. I wrote part of it down. Like, who pissed in your drink and charged you double for it?
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
You had him actually be humorous with Matt, believably, and then you throw this line out there, which is similar to the piss in your mouth and tell you it was raining joke that he had from, I think it was episode one. This is so stupid. And again, it pulls you out. This is you want to get invested in a scene, and then somebody says something like that, and you're like, that's disgusting. that's not it's not a scene. That's not a line that you hear out of normal course discourse. Anyway, so Matt tells her he's leaving, and she's like, "Oh, you found Rand. You can't go because I've seen the vision, and you're gonna stab him." And Matt actually has uh one of the few glimpses of male intelligence that's been presented in the show. He realizes that Min's been BSing him the whole time, and so he gets upset with her because yeah, you should. You know, it's a reasonable response, and she's like, "No, no, you don't understand. You can't go because you're gonna kill him. It's emotional. Don't do it. You're gonna kill your friend." And in doing so, what she's done is she's actually forsaken the effort that she promised Ishi that she would do. So as Matt gets pissed off and leaves, she has the gall to say, "You don't know what this is costing me."
And it would have been the perfect job, if not for one evil, crazy bitch.
So now what you're saying here is that Rand's life is far less important than you getting rid of your fortune telling powers. Getting rid of that has higher value to you than another human life. Again, Min is a dark friend. There's no principle that these people are willing to sit there and stand on for what is right. And that's why we can't get invested in these characters. Forget the books. Yeah, you've changed who Min is. You've changed what her power really is, and so that part takes us out of the books, and we're pissed off about that. But on a strict show level, if you want me to actually like Min in the show, just like we like Min in the books, then this decision for her is not really a decision. She doesn't even take Matt to Carrion because she's going to stand on her actual principles of caring for Rand and not wanting Rand to die. Plain and simple. That's it. But nope, you got to have her act like this and show her true colors according to the show that she's just an absolutely worthless bint. Great job, show. Good job, Matt, for getting mad at her. But don't worry, you're going to get ruined here in 5 minutes. So, oh yeah, Matt cried in that scene again. Great job, Matt. Um, so now we come to a scene where Moron hands a guy a letter to deliver to the Blue Aja only. They'll know what to do with it, yada, yada, yada. She comes in and apologizes to Barthanas. It's a meaningless apology because she's going to be a total bitch later. I mean, really, we all know that she is. So, you know, it's like show that your character actually means it for once. But that's okay because Barthanas is easily manipulated, so he believes it and decides to give her a hug, which she's kind of shocked at because, this is actual genuine human emotion of appreciation. And she is absolutely 100% alien to that notion. So she doesn't really know how to react to that. But that's okay. She's saved from actually properly responding and building upon that by her sister, who says, "Hey, the Maryland seat has just showed up with 14 other Aes Sedai. Warning bells ran to Althor, get the hell out of there." But okay, so then we cut to the scene where the arrival in the courtyard, and there is the Marilyn Seat wearing her peacock outfit. Ugh, man, why? These outfits are just so stupid. This whole pomp and circumstance thing that this show tries to put on is nothing believable, nothing of value. It doesn't add to the books. It doesn't make it better than the books. This was just busy work for your clothes designers rather than doing something proper. Oh, but we have boatloads of people that are here. There's Leandrin, who appears out of nowhere. We also have who else do we have? We have Cho Chang Sadai, and we have Varen as well. So that's phenomenal. Just we have all the players. Isn't that great? Now we cut to the scene with Rand. He's walking around in the gate area, waiting for Matt. And Matt is also at the gate area, but he's hiding behind some slats because he's not going to go with Rand. He's going to abandon Rand again. This is now the same thing as the abandonment at the Waygate last season. It's the abandonment that he gave Egwene earlier in the season when he saw her crying and turned away before she saw him. And so now we've got the third occurrence of this. Great. Right when you sit there and look like you're doing something right for the character, you piss it all away with this nonsense. So thanks for nothing, show. Um, this is why we get upset. This is why this becomes the worst episode, because there was so much potential that even in this show, this episode alone, you could have achieved in terms of goodwill to actual, you know, book lore fans, and you just throw it all away. Great. Oh, man. So, yeah. Rand's like, well, time's up. I gotta go. And so he starts walking, and then all of a sudden, Lan appears in front of him.
Ciao.
Ciao.
And there's Alana Sedai, and there's her two warders, and they are all standing there blocking Rand's way. Maxim's got his hand on his sword because, again, drama or something. Why? There's no purpose. You know, and this is, it's just so tired of it. And and I'm sure that Joseph Stradowski is sitting there with that face looking at Lan going, oh man, we were doing so well this episode. All right, so scene now cuts. Egwene's looking at the picture, or pitcher. There we go. Um, and she's looking pretty severe from her beatdown from the Damane. And so it does a little mini montage of her walking around the cell. And then we cut now to the trio working on the collar. The yellow Aja chick is working well with Elaine, and they say, we need you, nincompoop, to stop being a nincompoop because we can't figure this out. And then the yellow Aja chick proceeds to teach her how to channel without teaching her really how to channel. She just says, let it happen. And because, that's how I learned to drive, right?
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
Or that's how I learned to ride a bike. It's you get into your mode of transportation and you just let it happen. You know, that's how I make dinner for, the family. When, I just sit there and put some ingredients on the counter and then I just let it happen. Yeah, are we seeing here how they're not doing anything special at all with this with these abilities? You know, where are they drawing these strands of weaving from, right? You set it up at the beginning of the season, you pull from earth for earth, you pull from the flames for fire or whatever. It's zero sum magic, right? But it was just for that scene. And this scene, they're not pulling from anywhere. Just like when Egwene set the tree on fire, where did she pull the flames from? You know, there's no consistency. But okay, so now they're gonna go and uh, Nincompoop is gonna actually have a little burst come through, right? And boom, it hits the it's the collar. It startles Nincompoop, so she stops channeling. The other two stop channeling, and then there's a knock at the door. And the style of the knock is a warning from her warder that the Damane have found them. It's like it all boom, 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 just like that. It's great. No, so dumb. And so she says, well, I'm going to go out to meet them because they're looking for someone who can channel, and you two have to stay here. I will go out and sacrifice myself. Noble act. Noble. Great job. Awesome. Um, so what are Nincompoop and Elaine going to do? Right? You you two stay or you two escape. Here are the rings, and here's a fourth ring, which is my ring. Tell the story of what happened here to inspire others or something, you know. But she makes Nincompoop have this solemn promise. So this is going to be something that is severely impactful for Nincompoop because I'm assuming in her attempt to free this Aes Sedai later in the season, this Aes Sedai is going to lose her life. And so this is going to be this emotionally, deeply impactful thing for Nincompoop that helps her maybe change her ways or something, you know, because again, it's about the emotional journey for these show writers. It's not about the actual journey. Screw off show. Oh, man. So she promises, and yay. I love that. Places the rings inside her hand, and then specifically for the camera, shuts her hand around the rings. Because, oh, man, isn't that precious? Ugh, man, what trash. All right. So now we cut back to Nincompoop. Or not Nincompoop. We cut back to Eggy. She's in the prison. The Damane comes in, immediately puts on her, uh, or grabs the cup and tells her to fill the cup, fill the cup, fill the cup, fill the cup. Now this scene is going to intersperse with our fight scene. I'm not sure why. Why would you intersperse these things, these two scenes with each other? other than to say they happened at the same time, but you could still sit there and show one scene fully and the other scene fully. And I think the only reason is because for the show, they build up to these, again, emotional climaxes that they want to see in the show. And it's nonsense. It's, you know, it's there to present the defeat of the good guys in each way, but to culminate again, I'm rambling here. Oh, but Egwene can't do it. Fill the cup, Eggy. Fill the cup, Eggy. And then here come the Damane in the streets, and it's all this big emotional buildup. It's, type of setting here because, they're going to stand around and do nothing for a lot of time. You have the Damane, her soldam, and two soldiers coming in to the scene. And then you have another 6 soldiers coming in from a different way as the warder, Terry Tate, awaits his Aes Sedai, and she slowly walks out of the scene. So it's a Mexican standoff kind of thing going on here. Damane points at the Aes Sedai because that was needed or something. It's so dumb. And or maybe that was the Aes Sedai's cue to take off her cloak that she was busy buttoning up in the last scene, but okay. So she puts it on the ground, and they share a wink with each other in that suite. Um, so the weaves start, the sword comes out, and one of the Koopa Troopas steps out in front of the Damane with his sword out, and two guys are attacking the warder. What is going to happen? What happens with the weave that the yellow Aes Sedai was doing? Don't know. Cut back to Egwene. She still can't pour the water. Ugh. And then Nincompoop and Elaine are watching from the window, the weirdly slatted window. Um, there's the warder taking out two, but we only see his follow through. We don't see how he took them down, but that would, that's fine, I guess. There we see another Damane and her soldam with two other soldiers. So they came from somewhere, and they're actually she's actually casting, and that causes a disruption in the warder's um train of thought as he loses his balance, I guess. But it looks like, I guess, the Aes Sedai shielded him from that. Um, so maybe that's what she was helping him with in the previous casting. So now he walks around long ways behind her. He was kind of sort of in front to her right. After she shields him, he then takes a long looping walk around her and then steps in front of her, looking at her in the eyes like this is a 1990s dance video. He does have a sword in his right hand, but it's weird because after he gets done walking around her, he's more on her right side. But now all of a sudden, he's kind of on her front left side, swinging his sword at the Koopa Troopa. And now he's out of frame from her. So I mean, this fight scene's poorly edited too, just like all the other fight scenes. But she's now weaving something from somewhere because again, consistency. And she wraps up one of the Suldam in a weave that causes some pain to her Damane, I guess. And this weave is causing blisters on her hands and face. So, okay, that's fine. So, these two should be out of commission at this point, right? Cut back to Egwene and pour the drink, pour the water. I want my soda. But no, instead, the Damane gets pissed off at her, lifts her up with one hand, right? Because that's believable. And then hangs her up by the hook thing on her back at the base of the neck. That again wouldn't really cause her to choke. I mean, she could just use her feet to kind of prop herself up a little bit against the wall as well. It's pretty easy. But, we got to have this dramatic, intense choking scene that is insanely overacted. Yeah, you see her feet struggle against the wall, but it's kind of like, yeah, you can do better than that, Egwene. You're supposedly really smart. And then we have an arrow come in and hit our yellow Aes Sedai in the right shoulder. Good job. You did your job. He goes to knock another arrow. The warder gets all sorts of concerned. He gets possibly tackled from behind. Egwene and Elaine and Nincompoop are looking a bit emotional at the whole fight scene. And then there's the yellow Aes Sedai with her wound in her right shoulder. No arrow. Don't know where it went, but she drops down. It's really amazing. She's incapacitated by a little arrow in the upper right part of her shoulder, whereas Moron takes a humongous spike almost in the heart area, definitely through her left lung, and she survives for days. And actually recovers it enough to win the battle. you know, so yes, that's great. Um, Nincompoop and Elaine just stay there. There's Eggy choking some more, getting a talking to from her Damane. I mean, we're all hoping at this point Egwene just dies. Here come some more soldiers, as Terry Tate slices through another soldier's waist while he's holding the blade end of a sword. Wow. Okay. Holy crap. Here comes another Soldam and her Damane with another couple soldiers. The scene takes way too long. It should have been done. Oh, man. In no time flat. Terry Tate looking all severe. Here comes another arrow, possibly from the archer. But no, we don't. It cuts away. So why was he preparing to shoot if he wasn't going to shoot it? Well, we don't know. Yellow Aes Sedai says, "You need to kill me." And he, as her warder, who cares so much about her and is bonded to her, says, "I can't." Great job. So then by the time now that he has the resolve as Robot Arms Damane gets into position, he gets ready to do it, and then separate Damane, newly one, where all of a sudden her soldiers that were behind her disappeared as she walked in not 2 seconds ago, right? Sends forth a whole bunch of ice swords or spears or whatever and run Terry Tate through. Aes Sedai is shocked. Nynaeve is sad, and Terry Tate falls to the ground dead. If we look at the wound looks like it's only coming through a small portion of his body, while what is CGI'd to be there are these big, huge barbs, which would have torn right through as well. The wound should be much larger. Again, special effects failure. Good job. And this causes Aes Sedai to go mad, or get angry, as Eggy is shown to be losing her breath. Please just die. Yellow Aes Sedai gets mad, and then decides to get out her can-crushing weave and turn the Soldam inside out practically, uh, causing lots and lots of pain as the Soldam does her interpretive dance on the ground. Here's Eggy hanging almost lifelessly. More emotional channeling, and again, more emotional. Like, it looks like she tries to break the Damane. Now, again, now that we know that there's one other fully capable Soldam in the area immediately, along with a boatload of other soldiers, and they're just standing there watching this. Just saying it wouldn't happen. Any competent people would have been like, "Oh, I'm stopping that," before she even finishes breaking this chick. You know. So, um, Eggy's Soldam comes in, takes her off the hook, throws her to the ground, pour the cup or pour the water, whatever, and emotional yellow Aes Sedai is there, and angry looking Sabrina, the teenage witch Damane, decides that it's time or whatever, and they collar her. And Nincompoop and Elaine have an emotional reaction to this. It's so terrible. We see the nanotechnology collar go around her. Oh, they're holding hands now. Elaine and Nynaeve bond. It's again emotional journeys. We get the reveal that the blue sitter's in the dungeon, and great, big deal. But she says, "You lasted longer than I did." Of course she did, because she's Eggy. She's better than you. So, and you just never told her how special she was. So, bite me. Anyway, that's it, folks. Let me know what you thought of the episode, what you thought of my review. What did I miss? What am I incorrect about? Because it's probably quite a bit, but it's all in good fun. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time on this channel, and we'll see you possibly on our live streams for the postmortem on episode 7. So thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you all later. Jagar Navran, Tai Sharmanetharan.